You died believing in the deck. The culture deck said, "We're a family here 14 times. Families don't have performance improvement plans. Families don't have layoffs." Your family had both. The deck was never updated. It started on day one, the onboarding presentation, 63 slides of values, core principles, who we are, what we believe. The recruiter called it our North Star. You called it inspiring. Slide 12 said, "We're a family here." Slide 26 repeated it. Slide 41 made it bold. By slide 58, you'd stopped counting. The message was clear. You belonged. The office had a ping-pong table, free snacks, beer on tap, a slide that literally said, "Work hard, play hard." You worked hard. You never saw anyone play. The ping-pong table collected dust. The beer went flat. The snacks were always the same brand of granola bars, Costco bulk, family-sized boxes. The deck said, "We trust our people." It didn't mention the keycard logs, the productivity tracking software, the Slack status monitors that turned yellow after 90 seconds of inactivity. Trust, apparently, required verification. You stayed late to finish the quarter. The deck said, "We value work-life balance." It said it on slide 31. The same slide that said, "We do whatever it takes." You wondered which value won when they contradicted each other. You learned the answer at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, then again at 2 a.m. on a Friday. Then every night, for 6 months straight. The deck said, "We celebrate wins together." Your team hit 140% of target. The celebration was a Slack emoji, a single thumbs up from your manager. The exec team got bonuses. The deck didn't mention that part. Families share success. This family had a different definition of sharing. You got the calendar invite at 4:47 p.m. on a Wednesday. Quick sync, 15 minutes. No agenda. Your manager wouldn't make eye contact in the hallway. The deck said, "We communicate with radical transparency." The 15-minute meeting lasted 6 minutes. You were on a performance improvement plan. Radical transparency meant finding out your job was in danger through a calendar euphemism. The PIP had metrics, specific, measurable, achievable. The targets changed every week. What was achievable on Monday became insufficient by Friday. The deck said, "We set people up for success." The PIP was designed for failure. Everyone knew it. Nobody said it. Families don't acknowledge the obvious. You hit every metric. Then they added new ones. You hit those too. Then they said it wasn't about the metrics. It was about cultural fit. You'd memorized the culture deck, all 63 slides. You could recite slide 12 inches your sleep. We're a family here. Apparently, you were the wrong kind of family member. The layoffs came in January. The all-hands meeting had a slide deck, different from the culture deck. Shorter, corporate speak, right-sizing, restructuring, difficult decisions. The CEO's voice cracked when he said, "This hurts me more than it hurts you." His salary was public information. The hurt was not distributed equally. Slide 4 of the layoff deck said, "We're still a family." Slide 8 listed the severance package, 2 weeks. The deck didn't mention that people who'd been there for 5 years got the same 2 weeks as people who'd been there for 5 months. Families don't have tiered loyalty programs, except this one did. The tiers just weren't in your favor. You weren't on the list. You survived. The deck said, "We take care of our people. 40% of your team was gone. You inherited their work, not their salaries." The deck said, "We believe in growth opportunities." Growth meant doing 3 jobs for the price of 1. Opportunity meant you still had a job at all. The culture deck got updated. Version 2, 70 slides now. Slide 15 said, "We're a family here." They'd added a photo. Stock image. Diverse people laughing around a conference table. Nobody in the photo worked at the company. Nobody who worked at the company was laughing. You started counting the contradictions. "We value work-life balance" on slide 28. "We're looking for people who go above and beyond" on slide 29. "We promote from within" on slide 42. You'd applied for 3 internal roles. All went to external hires. The deck didn't have a slide about that. The new deck added, "We embrace failure as learning." You'd failed to meet impossible PIP metrics. You'd learned the company didn't mean that kind of failure. They meant the kind of failure that happened to other people. Theoretical failure. Slide deck failure. Not the kind that happened to you. You lasted 18 months after the layoffs. The second round came in July. This time, you were on the list. The meeting lasted 4 minutes. Your manager said, "This isn't personal." The deck said, "We're a family here," 14 times. You wanted to ask which kind of family kicks people out with 4 minutes notice. You didn't ask. The meeting was already over. You got the severance paperwork. 2 weeks. Same as everyone. The last page had a non-disparagement clause. You couldn't talk about the culture deck, the layoffs, the PIP designed for failure, the metrics that changed every week, the family that dissolved when revenue targets weren't met. You signed it. You needed the 2 weeks. The culture deck is still on the website. Version 3 now. 82 slides. Slide 19 says, "We're a family here." They added video testimonials, employees smiling, talking about belonging, purpose, growth. You recognize some of them. They were laid off in round 3. Their videos are still live. Their testimonials still stream. Their employee profiles still show active. The deck was never updated, not the parts that mattered. Families don't have fine print. But the corporate family delusion does. It's in every deck, every slide, every stock photo of people who don't work there anymore, every value that gets updated when values conflict with quarters. You learn the truth. The culture deck wasn't a promise, it was a marketing document. The family wasn't real. It was a retention strategy. The values weren't values. They were words on slides that changed when the market changed. The deck is still live, still streaming, still recruiting, still saying we're a family here. 14 times. Version 4 will say it more. The fine print will stay the same. It always does. That's the thing about corporate families. The culture deck tells you who they want to be. The fine print tells you who they are. Nobody reads the fine print. Until they're holding severance paperwork. By then, it's too late. Search the corporate family delusion if you want to see the pattern. Every company, every deck, every family that stops being family when the spreadsheet says so. The documents are public. The testimonials are still streaming. The laid-off employees are still smiling in videos on the careers page. They're still there, just not the way the deck promised.